Today, we are here with Jennifer Lee, a financial advisor in Sarasota, Florida. She founded her firm, Modern Wealth, to focus on helping people who are experiencing transition. And as we know, divorce is a huge life transition, so that's why Jennifer is with us today. She's got 30 years of experience in financial services, and Jennifer believes that having a strong relationship with an advisor is most critical at the intersections in life where emotions collide with financial events. And wow, does emotion collide with divorce and financial events. Jennifer doesn't only work with divorcing people, but she works with other people in transition as well. People who have experienced the loss of a spouse, who have retired, or maybe who have sold a business. And she likes to bring a fresh perspective to the financial planning process by digging deep to understand what drives her clients. Jennifer is the author of the book, Squeeze the Juice, Live with Purpose, Then Leave a Legacy. Welcome, Jennifer. I am so happy you're here to share your expertise today.
Thank you so much for having me, Tracy. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, people always are told that they need a financial advisor, and I think it's scary for a lot of people, particularly for women who are going through divorce, because they experience such a level of financial stress during the divorce. I tend to believe that divorce is more financially stressful on women than men in general. And so when I say, hey, go get a financial advisor, it's like, wait a second, that sounds expensive. That sounds intimidating. I don't even have any money right now. What are they going to be advising me on? So what's your feedback on that?
That you are precisely right. It's a terrifying and daunting idea to engage a financial advisor. Clients going through divorce know they need an attorney, and so they go into the attorney's office and they ask questions, and most times they leave and they don't remember exactly what the attorney told them, which is unnerving for me as an advisor. But the financial advisor, unfortunately, is the second person, and sometimes they drag their feet a little bit to get to us. But at our firm, we try to make it a little less scary when it comes to money. It's really just a matter of, what are you trying to accomplish, right? What does your life look like in your marriage? And then what's it going to look like after? And so we pull together all that information that you gather from your attorney, sometimes from your coach, sometimes from your forensic accountant, and we try to put that together and create a path forward for, your life after divorce.
Well, I'm a huge fan of a divorce team. I think the vast majority of women who are getting divorced go into it hiring an attorney, spending tons and tons of money on that attorney, and they say, gosh, I can't justify spending any other time or money on anyone else. But what I found is that having qualified people on your team actually reduces your costs. So for example, going and asking your attorney questions about financial planning is not a good use of their time or your money, because they're going to bill you hourly for that. I'd rather have someone come and talk to a financial advisor like you who really has the expertise to help them and can probably in the long run save them money in this whole thing.
Yeah, precisely. And I appreciate you saying that. It does take a village or a team to get through a divorce. And often, the most expensive is the attorney, maybe next most expensive is the advisor, and the least expensive being a coach. And you really need all of those people as you go through that process. So I do like to have my clients prepared before they go in to meet with the attorney, so they know the questions to ask and they get those answers and they actually write them down, and then they bring that information to me so I can help them, gather the data that they need to.
You are definitely speaking my language. I have lists of questions to ask attorneys about the divorce process, about the finances in divorce, because I always say, if you want to make the most of the money you're spending with that attorney, you've got to be prepared. So come with your list of questions, come with the most important ones, be organized. You're going to save a lot of time and money with them that way.
It's true. And there are different types of attorneys. You may be in a situation where you could benefit from a collaborative divorce environment. You may be in a high conflict divorce situation. It depends based on the type of divorce that you're looking at, what attorney you need. So I don't really want you to have a litigator if you just aren't in love with your spouse anymore and you guys are going to divide your assets. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it civil. Let's get you to the other side. On the other hand, if you have some toxic environment, you have no access to resources and there's some safety involved, then we need the big guns and you need to make sure you have those protections in place.
Well, you mentioned keeping it simple, and I know that you like to say that financial planning is simple. And you want women to take control of their finances, but guess what? Many women going through divorce have not been in control of their family finances, maybe have not been the breadwinners in the household. So I'm not sure that they're going to agree that financial planning is simple. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, everybody wants to wince when I say that, but truly, it's two questions. When you come into an advisor's office, what do you have? What are your income? What are your assets? What are your resources? Do you have inheritance? Do you have savings? Do you have retirement? Do you own property? What are the things you have? Okay, and then what do you want? What do you want your life to look like? Where do you want to live? What kind of cash flow do you need? What kind of lifestyle do you want to have for your children? And when do you want to retire? And our job is what's in between, which is what everybody's so scared about. Our job is to take those things and make them as efficiently as possible to get you to your goals. Now, of course, the scary part is sometimes we're going to tell you maybe your goals are unrealistic. Other times we're going to tell you need to spend more money because you're accumulating assets and that's okay. So financial planning to me is simple. It's just those two buckets. What do you have and what do you want? And truthfully, it's the most difficult side is the what do you want? People have to do a little bit of digging to figure out what it is that they want in their life.
Well, I think you're absolutely right that financial planning can be simple when you have the right person walking you through it. In the Divorce Money Guide, we do something that you mentioned, which is figuring out what you have. We have our clients put together lists of the accounts that they have, make lists of the assets they have, the debts that they have. You can't figure out where you're going unless you know where you stand today. And sometimes it sounds like a daunting process to put those lists together, but you work on them little by little. And especially with the help of someone like you, is that something that you would do is help them put together those lists? Or is it a situation where you're giving them homework and saying, come back with all of this information prepared?
I will tell you that if I told them to come back with all this information prepared, I would never hear it from them again. They're just not going to do it. It's just not going to come back. So I call this financial triage. There's a little bit of financial therapy. There's a little bit of coaching. There's a little bit of guiding. There's a little bit of teasing information out. So I have a client right now that, 30 some years of marriage, all of a sudden, boom, he wants out. They have 14 plus properties. He owns a business. They have horses. They have stuff. And so we start with, what do you have, right? What's this list? And she got him to put it together. Actually, I wrote her a letter to send to the husband. He put it together. He did. He was very transparent. And then we dug through it a little bit together on a couple Zoom calls. What is this? Is it rental? All these things. Follow-up questions. And then that goes back to the soon-to-be husband, right? And he responds again. And that's really just, I think my clients tend to be what I would call the non-moneyed party when it comes to finance. Right. It's just not their natural space. Now, that doesn't mean they're not competent. That doesn't mean they can't do it, because they absolutely can. These are brilliant women that maybe have just had a little bit of, maybe they divided and conquered tasks in the household. Maybe they had a little bit of a thumb on them, but we're going to get them through the other side and help them navigate through that scary
Well, I love
part.
the concept of financial triage, because just like the emergency room in a hospital, they look at the most critical cases first. And so we need to do the same thing with our finances when we're in a big transition, right?
It's so true. People come to me and they say, oh, I need an advisor. I need a plan. I need, what am I going to do with my money after? Well, I'm very happy to talk to you about managing your money after. But the reality is we need to bandage you up right now, right? So um, I'm trying to do the right thing with the client in that right now, you don't need to be talking about the details of later. We'll get there. But right now, we need to triage this, figure out what you have, where you're going, what that's going to look like, making sure you're getting your fair share of what you're entitled to. What are you entitled to? And then let me help you stay the course through that process. And then ultimately, when it's over, okay, I've got $3 million and I know I need to live on 100 grand a year. How am I going to do that? Okay. Well, again, that's that middle part. That's easy for me. That's my natural space, right? So let me help you take your resources, turn them into income producing vehicles that will serve you and your family for many, many, many years.
But what about the woman who's not getting a big payout? She's lucky to walk away from this marriage not being in debt. Maybe she's just at zero and she's got a job where she's earning $40,000 or $50,000 a year and just hoping to be able to pay the rent and put food on the table every month. Where do you go with a situation like that?
Absolutely. So, it's like anybody who, whether you're going through divorce or you're just, making $40,000, $50,000 a year, right? We have to figure out a way to be as efficient as possible with our money. So, financial planning is simple. Again, what do you have? What do you want? Right? So maybe your job, maybe your ways of generating income aren't enough to support your goals. So what do? You can only either make more money or spend less money. Those are the only choices, right? So it may be a conversation around having a side hustle. It may be a conversation around establishing a business. It may be a variety of things to figure out how you're going to project yourself forward. Because if we just put our heads in the sand and keep going to the $40,000, $50,000 job, you're not going to get anywhere, right? So we have to have goals. We have to, shoot for the moon and land with the stars. If you're really going to set your financial foot forward. So just a couple quick things. Understanding what your discretionary money is. So, you have money coming in. You have expenses that you have to spend. You have to spend your rent. You have to eat food. You have to pay your car insurance, all those things. What's left is what's at your discretion. So you get to choose. Do you go to the movies? Do you buy new shoes? Do you get your nails done? Do you take your kids to the ballpark? What is it that you choose to do with that money? And how much of it can you put away for the future, right? For your retirement.
I see clients often feeling hopeless about their financial situation because they feel like they're stuck. I'm making $15 to $20 an hour because I haven't been in the workforce forever. That's not even enough to pay the bills, much less get ahead in life financially. And I always have to remind them the job you have today is not the job you have to have a year from now or 5 years from now. What's important when you're divorcing is getting a job, just getting a job. You must be self-sufficient. You must have financial independence. You cannot rely on alimony and child support. Even if you're entitled to get those, and you maybe will get decent amounts for those, they could stop at any time. And so establishing that financial independence and thinking long-term, what is the next step? Okay, I've got the job now. Where do I want to be a year or two from now?
It's so true. And Tracy, you don't even mention the fact that how good it feels to be earning your own money, right? There's that empowerment component. There's that feeling that, you're contributing and you're taking care of your family and you have a little bit of control. So that's a wonderful component too.
Talk to me about rebuilding savings after divorce. As I've said, so many women are just trying to make ends meet and put food on the table. So having the idea of having anything left to save feels overwhelming and impossible.
Yeah. And it goes back to understanding what's at your discretion. Lots of people will say, well, I don't have any money left in my checking account. Okay, well, let's talk about where you spend your money. And so when we look at it, you have a Starbucks habit. Well, I mean, everybody likes Starbucks. Well, not everybody, but many people like Starbucks, or they have a habit that's similar. It could be, whatever it is, ice cream. It could be whatever that habitual item is. We all have something. Now, when you look at, there's a financial advisor years ago who wrote a book called The Latte Factor. And he
Yes.
basically talked about the concept of how much money you spend on these little things. So when you tally it up, it's a lot of money. If you spend $200 a month on whatever, lunch out at the grocery, you just pick up a sandwich at the grocery store instead of going and buying stuff and making sandwiches for the week, right? It's just simple things that I know you're wasting money.
Right.
I'm not somebody who wants to put you on a strict budget and tell you can't do things. I want to empower you to be aware of what you are doing. And if you still choose to do that, that's on you.
Right.
I'm somebody that growing up, when I had a regular job, it wasn't enough to supplement my life. So I waited tables on the weekend so I could get a couple $100 extra in my pocket because I wanted stuff. I wanted to do things. I wanted to interact. So we have choices. Life is about choices. Sometimes the choices are pretty and we just try to help you navigate through to change what you can.
Right. I'm not a huge fan of complete deprivation. So if you have that Starbucks habit, I'm not a believer that you have to cut it out altogether, but I am a believer that maybe you do it once a week and you make that your special treat at the end of the week or something that you look forward to, or maybe it's the treat at the beginning of the week to start things off right. But for me, it's more about being very strategic with your spending. That means going to the grocery store with a list and sticking to that list, looking for the sale items. And gosh, saving 50 cents or $1 here or there doesn't seem like much, but it sure adds up.
It absolutely does. And in terms of putting money aside and trying to save things, I would tell you, don't forget to get your free money. So if you have that job and they offer you a matching contribution in your retirement plan, please take it. It's free money. So they offer you a dollar for dollar for the money that you put in up to 3%. And your income is 40 grand, you just got $1,200 of free money. Please do it. Please take your free money. Yeah.
Okay. I am intrigued by your concept of writing a family love letter. Now, I'm going to tell you again that women who are divorcing don't want to hear about more homework, but I think writing this letter is a wonderful concept. So tell me about the family love letter.
Sure. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and a lot of my clients are what I consider ostrich. They like to put their head in the sand when it comes to finance and money. So, I look for ways to engage clients and engage people in these concepts that to me aren't scary, but for them may be. And writing your family love letter really, it serves as an ethical will. It does not replace your will or your trust or any other documents, but what it does is it communicates your values and it communicates your resources to your family. It might tell your niece or nephew, what significance they have in your life and what a special ring or a special item means to you, and you want them to have it. It may talk to your young children about your values, what you hope for them in terms of a marriage, or what you hope for them in terms of their career or their contribution to society. So it's a way of communicating your values and also telling your spouse, if your spouse is the non-money party, hey, here's what we have. Here are the people that I trust, the accountant, the attorney, the financial person. If you have questions, these are the people you can go to. Here's what we have. Here's how much life insurance we have. Here's where our retirement assets are. And in my personal love letter, it says, don't spend the principal, right? That's your machine. Spend the income and earnings. These are the people I trust. These are the people you should go to. And if you have questions, bring, one of my girlfriends, bring a friend that's gonna ask questions and be challenging to the advisor or the attorney.
So do you walk your clients through the process of writing that family love letter, kind of guiding them as to what goes in it and things like that?
I do. In fact, a number of years ago, I did a a trade show or something, and it was for men. So I wrote a Mad Libs love letter, because what would happen is I do these talks to women and they would say, oh my gosh, my husband, I need him to do this. Again, the non-money party, right? Would ask for the love letter. And so I did a fill in the blank, and so it's available on the website. It gives you a good jump start. But also, sometimes you can do it with a video or a voice text. It doesn't have to be that complicated. We have all these devices at our disposal. And I find that when something big is happening, God forbid somebody be sick, or, a divorce is huge. If you are going on a big trip, these are times where you're like, oh no, like if you had to make a phone call and this is your last phone call to your spouse, to your best friend, to your mother, to your kid, what do they need to know? Well, that's terrifying. Right. There's a lot they need to know, right? So that's the kind of stuff that you want to put in your love letter.
Jennifer, I love how you have just made us more comfortable with talking about money. I think that's a huge barrier to get over. And you talk about it with such ease, have such great concepts and things to focus on. If our listeners want to connect with you after this, how can they find you?
Sure. So our website is modern and then a hyphen and the word wealth.com. And I have a squeezethejuicebook.com website that talks a little bit about the book. And then I like to say, Tracy, for your listeners, if we've talked about something that's piqued an interest and that stirs a financial question, that they can reach out to me on Calendly for a no cost, no obligation, just 15-minute Squeeze the Juice call. And they can find me at it's Jennifer Modern Wealth.
Okay, we will put the Calendly link and the link to your website and the book site in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.